I am Dr. Siddharth Shah, consultant orthopedics and joint replacement surgeon at SL Raheja, a Fortis Associate Hospital in Mahim, Mumbai. Our country has been battling with the COVID-19 pandemic since the early part of last year. Presently, we are in what appears to be the end of the second wave. We have seen some peculiar medical conditions during the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier, you all might have heard of a condition called mucormycosis or black fungus. Of late, we are seeing another peculiar medical problem called avascular necrosis in patients who have recovered from COVID infection and were administered steroids during their treatment. So what exactly is this problem? Avascular necrosis, commonly abbreviated as AVN or bone death, is, as the name suggests, death of bone tissue because of interruption of its blood supply. It is akin to a heart attack or stroke where blood supply to the heart muscle or the brain tissue is interrupted, resulting in the death of tissue, which manifests as a heart attack or stroke respectively. Now, when blood supply to the bone is interrupted, it results in tiny breaks in the bone structure, which eventually progresses to bone collapse, arthritis, and joint destruction. The hip joint is the most commonly affected joint due to AVN. Now, the hip is a ball and socket type of joint. So, the ball is formed by the upper end of the thigh bone, which moves smoothly inside the socket, which is formed by the pelvic bone. Now, when the blood supply to the ball of the hip joint is interrupted, there are tiny breaks in the bone. When a substantial portion of the bone is affected, it results in bone collapse, which means that the spherical shape of the ball is lost and it is no longer able to move freely inside the socket. As a result, there is cartilage damage which progresses to arthritis and joint destruction. So what causes the interruption of blood supply? The blood supply could be interrupted because of trauma, which causes damage to the blood vessels which take blood to the ball of the hip joint. It could be because of deposition of cholesterol or fat inside the blood vessels, which results in blockade of blood flow. Or it could be because of some small blood clots, which again interrupt the blood supply. In about 20 to 30% of the cases, it may not be possible to determine the exact cause of interruption of blood supply. What are the risk factors for AVN? The three commonest risk factors are trauma or fracture. So if somebody sustains a fracture around the ball of the hip joint, then that may break the blood vessels, which disrupts the blood flow. Then is excessive steroid consumption. So it is thought that excessive steroid consumption results in deposition of cholesterol in the blood vessels, which interrupts the blood supply. And lastly, excessive alcohol consumption. Apart from these, there are other risk factors like presence of diabetes, smoking, certain hemoglobin problems like sickle cell anemia, presence of HIV infection, or radiotherapy in patients who are suffering from cancer. What are the symptoms of AVN? So the symptoms of AVN would depend upon the joint involved. Now, in cases of hip AVN, patient would present with pain around the hip joint, which could be felt in the groin region, in the buttock, or in the upper part of the thigh. The person may not be able to take weight on the affected leg and may be limping. Similarly, there could be restriction of movements of the affected joint. When the symptoms appear, the person must seek medical attention immediately. The doctor will perform certain physical tests and may advise X-rays or MRI. Now, it must be kept in mind that in early stages, the X-rays are usually normal. So it is the MRI which helps to pick up the problem early. And early diagnosis is essential because if picked up early, this problem can be managed with medicines or surgeries other than joint replacement. So these surgeries are less invasive in nature and help to preserve patients' natural hip joint. However, if the AVN problem has already progressed to the later stages where there is arthritis, then a total hip replacement remains the only solution. So now let's look at what are the treatment options for AVN. In the early stages, the doctor may advise you anti-inflammatory medicines or painkillers. Along with these, you might be given cholesterol-lowering drugs. If there is a suspicion of a clotting problem, the doctor may advise you some blood-thinning medications. There is another drug which is commonly used for treatment of osteoporosis, but now has been found to delay or prevent the progression of AVN, and these are called bisphosphonates, which are being routinely used these days. Additionally, the doctor may advise you rest for some time followed by physiotherapy. Now, depending upon the stage of the disease, Another surgery other than a hip replacement called core decompression might be advised to you. So in this surgery, the damaged part of the ball of the hip joint is decompressed using drilling and is supplemented with bone graft or stem cell injection in order to stimulate bone formation. Now, this surgery may help to prevent or delay the progression of AVN and helps to preserve the patient's natural hip joint. However, if the arthritis has already progressed to the, if the AVN has already progressed to the advanced stages where there is hip arthritis, then a total hip replacement is the only reasonable option. So in a total hip replacement, the damaged ball and socket joint of the patient is removed and replaced with an artificial joint. The current generation of implants that we have are known to last for 25 to 30 years and can provide the patient a pain-free, good and productive quality of life. So to summarize, the problem of AVN is seen with increased frequency in patients who have recovered from COVID and were administered steroids. Early diagnosis and treatment is key because in the early stages, the problem can be managed with medicines or less invasive surgeries, and MRI can help to pick up this problem early in these patients. With this, I conclude my talk, and now we will take questions from the listeners. So the first question is from Mr. Ganesh. What is your advice for patients who have recovered from COVID-19? So if someone who has recovered from COVID-19 and were administered steroids, I would advise that they watch out for symptoms which I have discussed earlier. And if any of these symptoms appear, they must see an orthopedic surgeon at the earliest. Now, the normal tendency is initially people would always ignore, thinking that this could just be a minor sprain or it could be a twinge, and they may not seek medical treatment. But as I discussed, that if we detect this problem early, we might be able to manage this with medicines and less invasive measures, and might be able to prevent the progression to a severe stage where only hip replacement would be the option available. So as I said, watch out for these symptoms, and if any of these symptoms appear, do seek timely doctor's consultation. So another question which I often get asked by patients is that are steroids bad? Now let me clarify that steroids are not bad, and they have been proven to be effective in the management of patients with COVID-19. However, steroids must be taken only under expert medical supervision. They must be taken only for the shortest possible duration and at the lowest possible dose in order to reduce the risk of avascular necrosis. We have another question. Can hip replacements be done in young patients as prosthesis may have a limited life? That's a good question. Now, earlier, the type of artificial joints which were available, they did not last very long, and the usual recommendation was to delay surgery as much as possible. However, the current generation of artificial joints are known to last for 25 to 30 years. So the idea is to give the patient a pain-free and productive quality of life for that length of time. Also, if the first artificial joint fails or wears out, then we also have options for revision joint replacements, which are also known to last for a reasonably long length of time. So at present, we do have sufficient options in our armamentarium to give the patient a pain-free and productive quality of life. So I do not recommend that patients suffer in pain or disability just with the apprehension of limited lifespan of prosthesis. So if there are no more questions, then we will bring this Facebook Live session to an end. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.